Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This evening, I'm going to come to you with something very, very unique and very special. As you know, in our country, and I'm in the country of Jamaica, in a couple weeks' time, we will be celebrating what we call emancipation and independence. And these two holidays, there are some symbolism that we carry along with these holidays. And I'm going to show you now. Here, I have this old cell phone. I don't know how many of us remember this. And this is the good old Nokia brand. We used to love this phone. These are some of the first set of phones, or the second set of phones, that came into our country since the emergence of technology. We have also the self-heating iron. We call it the self-heater iron, but it is really the self-heating iron. And when you look at it, this is where the cold is placed inside here for it to be heated. And then after it being heated, we do the regular ironing. We have an old jar here, and I deliberately have it looking like this because I want to show you and give you the object lessons that I'm going to carry to you this afternoon, especially from all these three here. And so, first, I'm going to start with the self heating iron. When you look at it, and I'm going to hold it in my hand so that you can see. When you look at it, tell me what you see. Type in the chat and let me know the descriptions that you see from this heating iron. It is rough, it is cold, it is without heat, and it has a receptacle where the cold, or you'd say the main source of heating, is placed in there. And as I look at this old self-heating iron, there are many object lessons that comes across to me. One, it is powerless. There's no heat in it at this point in time. And it is saying to me that when we are powerless, there is no energy in us to do God's will. There is no life. And so God is the source of light and energy that we use to heat up our life and to plug into our senses and into our brain so that we can do His will and do His work. And I'm just going to share a little bit of some object lessons that I've gathered on my laptop so that you can learn. And in St. John 15, verse 5, it says, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And as we look at these object lessons, there are so many things that pops out as I go through. One, as I said, it is not ready to work right now unless it is being heated up. And so in the state that it is now, it is just useless as a mere statue. So as you see it there, nothing effective can be given from that self-heating iron. And so it is cold and it looks good. It is in a good shape. It looks sturdy and it looks strong. But no matter how you try to use this iron to press down to unwrinkle the wrinkles on your clothing, you would not have accomplished anything, isn't it? Because there is no heat in there. So, just like this iron, we are created with a what? A purpose to shine, to help, to make a difference. But without staying connected to that power source with God, we become what? Spiritually cold. We become spiritually powerless and we become ineffective. So with this iron now, we are going to plug into the source. And how do we plug in the source? As I showed you earlier, the receptacle here, this is where the coal is placed, right inside here. And then we lit it with fire so that it can be heated. And then after it is heated, we know that energy comes in. And so as the energy comes in, we see how much effective it can be. So once it is connected, heat begins to build up, and now it can do what it was what made to do. It is made to do ironing. It is made to take out the wrinkles out of the clothing. And just as how it is taking out the wrinkle out of the clothing so that it can look brand new again, it is the same way Christ's method, the way we take out the wrinkles out of our lives, the wrinkles of selfishness, the wrinkles of hate, the wrinkles of grudgefulness, of unkindness, all these type of wrinkles will come out of our lives. And so through the fact that we are able to do that with prayer and worship and the word, he fills our spiritual power with warmth and with purpose. And so when the iron gets too hot, you cannot use it, because if you put it on your clothing, it is going to what? Burn it. And when it burns it, it damages it or it destroys it. And so that's why it has controls. It has a control here. This is the control. Well, this is what you use to open it, but how do you control it? You would have to take out some of the coal out of the iron so that the heat can be lessened. And that's the way of control. So similarly, we need the Holy Spirit to temper our actions, our attitudes, and emotions. So just the way we are able to control the heat from the iron, we need that Holy Spirit to control the heat in our lives, the heat of bad temper, the heat of aggressiveness, the heat of loss of self-control. All these heat, we will need the Holy Spirit to temper us. And that's the object lesson of the self-heating iron. So just as all the iron are not plugged in, it represents powerlessness. So the question is asked today, are you connected to the source of power and purpose? And we know that that's Jesus Christ. So if not, you are going to stay plugged in, or you are going to find yourself plugged in so that God can smooth out the wrinkles in our lives and in the lives of others. And that's the object lesson that I'm sharing with you now from this self-heating iron. So if you have one at home, those of us who live in the Caribbean, we might have this iron here that the patriots of old, those who might have born in the 1950s, 1960s, 1940s, some of your parents or your family members may have one of these. So you can look at them, see how it operates. This young generation might not know how they operate. So I have one here as a legacy so that I can always be reminded of where the patriots were coming from, to know that we have our own electric iron. And the next one that I'm going to use as an object lesson is this tech phone in the 90s. This was the second set of cell phones that I believe came into existence. When we look at it, we recognize that this does not have any Wi-Fi. This does not come with a Wi-Fi. Currently, the battery is dead. Currently, if I touch it now, there's no power in it likewise. And so I also have object lessons of this powerless cell phone. So one, it's not a flip phone, neither is it a smartphone. It is an outdated model. Even though the brand is still in existence, the phone itself is outdated. And so, as I said before, it doesn't have Wi-Fi, it doesn't have a big screen, or it doesn't have the latest apps. And people might say, well, this is an outdated phone. Why am I still having it around, hanging around? But this phone, it once had great value. Without it, we could not have communicated. And so we made calls, we sent texts, we received calls, we received messages, we are connected to people. And of such, it had a what? It had a purpose. And so as we see here, many people feel like this phone. Many people feel outdated. They feel as though they are left behind. And guess what? Some of them, maybe because of age. This phone is old, it is aged. Many because of mistakes or missed opportunities. But guess what? God does not throw us away. He cares for us and He created us so that we can be like Him. We are His creation. So even when we feel worn out, like this phone, God sees our purpose and the value in us. So just the way looking at it here, it's useless. There was a purpose for it. But because it has done its time, it is now useless. We are the opposite. Regardless of how we might feel and how we might look, there is value in us and God has a purpose for us. So some of these phones, they can be used for children to play with. Some can be refurbished, like this one. It may not be able to refurbish, but there are phones like that can be used to be refurbished. And you have phones that likewise God can renew and repurpose our life, no matter how past or how long this or we have been staying idle. So just the way this phone is locked away in a bag or put in a cupboard or stay in a stock, just the way that has happened, God has a purpose for us, regardless of how we feel that we might, as you would say, retired. God has a purpose for us. So regardless of how idle we might think we are, there is a purpose for each and every one of us. So we are not outdated in God's eyes. And I want you to take away that. The phone is outdated, but we are not outdated. He has a plan for us. And our time is not yet over. The phone might be over, but our time is not yet. We are just changing. So let us not disqualify ourselves when God has already qualified us. So even though I can't use this to make a call anymore, neither can I use it to receive a call anymore, neither to send a text message, neither to respond anymore. Jesus has a purpose for us. So God can use us regardless of our age, regardless of how we look. We are valuable to Him. And that is what I want you to take away from the object lesson from this phone. All right. So our final one here is this jar. You know how this jar come about? I remember going to an elderly family home and I saw it in the bushes and I said, do you want this jar? He said, no, I don't want it. And I took it up. And I took it up and I said, this jar can be refurbished. And when I went to the potter to see if this could work, they said, no, since it's already broken, they can't fix it. And this jar too has valuable object lessons for us today. And so we're going to look at it. It is broken here. The handles are broken. We have scratches on it. We have dirt here. We have a little soil over here. It is marred. And it is cracked on the inside. You may not be able to see, but it is cracked on the inside. So some might say it belongs to the trash can, or we should just throw it away and dump it. But look at it closer. I may not be able to show you the inside, but I will show you the outside. So on the outside, it does not look very presentable, isn't it? You see the dirt and you see the mud. Well, on the inside, it might look like you can hold water in there, but unfortunately, there is a crack. It looks like it's clean on the inside, but unfortunately, it is dirty. So I may can just hold it down a little so that you can see. Maybe you can't see because I'm alone, but I'm just showing you a synopsis of what it is all about. So we see how on the outside it's rough and just unkempt, but just like how it looks there, we don't know the value that that jar can contribute. And so in Bible times, clays were common. They were used every day, and clays were often imperfect. And Paul, the apostle, compares our lives to those clay jars. He says we may feel ordinary, damaged, or unworthy, but God chooses to place His power and Spirit inside us. And so it's not about how fancy the jar looks. And then you look at it, as I said to you before, and as you can see, the handles are broken. See? They are broken. They are not, it's not looking presentable as though it ought to be. And so it doesn't matter how imperfect we are in God's sight, is what's on the inside of us, which is our heart. And so as we examine ourselves, let us examine our heart and see and know that our heart can be beautiful regardless of how the jar looks and how we look. We can be broken. The jar is broken, and when I'm finished, I'm going to try and lift it and show you. So God uses what? Broken and ordinary people to carry out His extraordinary message. Because this jar here can be used to do many other things apart from holding water. We can place dirt in there. We can place a plant in there just like this one. And so there are many things that this jar can be used to make it beautiful and to give out a good reflection of the jar itself and even the message that should come out. So the crack that is in there, we are not going to let the crack of life allow us to feel unworthy. So what is the crack of life in your life? And what are the cracks of life that is in your life? Some of us might be having financial challenges. Some of us might be having emotional distress, experiencing hard times. Some of us might be down and out and we are wondering what's next. Some of us are facing physical issues, health issues. Some of us feel down and out as though there is no hope. So the cracks of life that is happening in our lives, God can mend those cracks. So sometimes it is through these very cracks that God's light shines through. God's light shines through. Our past, our pain, and our weakness do not disqualify us. They make us be a living testimony of grace. And just like the jar, it's not perfect. And we might say, oh, I don't want it anymore, I'm going to throw it away. But in the world's eyes, it is useless. But to God, you are a chosen vessel. Carry His treasure, carry His light, and carry His love. And I'm going to show you now exactly what the jar looks like. So here, and it's a heavy jar. Right under here, you see it inside. I think, I don't know how much it's dark, so you're not able to see, but there is a crack somewhere. You see the space here, there's a crack. So nothing as liquid can be retained in this jar. So these are the lessons that I am bringing to you from these three architectural, or you would say antique items. And as my country, prepares to celebrate emancipation and independence out of these antique things that we cherish as legacy. If you go into the museum in our country, you might see all of these. Or perhaps you might not see any at all. Or perhaps you might see one. But they are valuable in their own space. So they might look useless as they stand here. But there is a purpose if you take those object lessons and apply it to your life today. So I hope you were blessed. I hope somebody's spirits were lifted as I bring to you these object lessons. This is the old self-heating iron. This is one of the oldest phones that came into existence, not the very oldest, Nokia brand. And this is a broken jar, a broken jar that somebody had, that they had treasured it in the past. So God has a purpose, and God can use anything to make something from it. And God too can use you to be a good treasure. So stay blessed and let us discuss the word and more. I'm out.